Hey guys, it's Elche. It's a video response to Swordsage and his video protest effectiveness. And you're right, pretty much everything you said was absolutely spot on. A protest does not, and this is historical, just about every protest does not have the immediate intended consequence. Like, they don't end up stopping anything. It doesn't really end up changing anything immediately. In the case of like what you were talking about, you know, the budget cuts for student loans and then the raising of tuition combination that, you know, screwed with the CUNY schooling for, you know, lower income brackets or whatever. It's a very specific topic that a protest is not going to affect. And the reason a protest is not going to affect it, just like most things, is that what has to occur is political will. You have to have leadership and use the tool of government to get the changes you want. And that is possible. The primary way in which it's possible is, you know, the combination of finding leadership in the group who has the same philosophy, willing to step up and petition, you know, working with leadership that already exists who may or may not be able to be swayed to a particular way of thinking. The function of protests in general, I think, is to galvanize and reinforce the belief in the protesters. When they go out on behalf of a certain belief and they see that they have a lot of people who are showing up and standing and marching and speaking for these same beliefs, it gives the protesters a sense that they are part of something bigger. Because as we all know, you know, if you feel one way about something and it's just you feel completely powerless. When you get in a crowd of people who feel the same way that you do or are talking about the same thing that you are, you feel like you have wheels. Even though really you don't, unless you make that next step and involve yourself in the petitioning act, using the tool of government to actually affect the changes that you want. Protests are also good for showing the progress that you've made as a movement. You know, you can have speakers who are effective in government, you know, up there saying, "Hey, this is where we've gotten so far," and that's a very strong, you know, galvanizing kind of thing. So the other usefulness of protests is to see the strategies and the will of law enforcement, what they're going to do, how far they're going to go, and essentially in some ways catch them in their own bullshit. Now, your argument is that, you know, protests are ineffective because the media is going to put their spin on it, and I agree. In 1995, that's a hard sell, man. You know, how do you get the real information out without the mainstream media essentially just obliterating any sense of credibility that you have? Luckily, kind of luckily, and it's, again, some pretty weird doublespeak kind of world we live in. It's pretty Orwellian. We right now probably have more access and more people who believe fundamentally that the mainstream media is lying to them most of the time. And so they turn to alternative news sources, and the internet is our alternative news source. We're at, you know, full freedom to show whatever we're gonna show. The People's Press Collective is one group who's going to be at the DNC, for instance, covering a lot of the protests. We got you know, the Veracify and Talk Points media is going to be out there and showing a lot of that stuff. So there's going to be some new angles on you know, what people are considering valid media and valid news. And I don't think that we're going to end up, regardless of what the media says, they're not going to end up with the desired effect. So that's my response to that. Alright, so anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Peace. Good luck to you guys. Viva la revolution.